Okay, you guys, today we are talking about Max Sound again, and they released their quarterly statement, and it's also got a whole bunch of SEC violations, and the whole thing itself is a joke because, we all know con artist Greg Halpern is a joke. But anyway, so started off here, Max Sound Corporation. Hey, that's their 800 number. If you guys want to dial it, spoiler alert, it doesn't go anywhere. So how Greg is doing business as a corporation? Well, of course he's not. He's just lying about everything. So there are no revenues, total assets of $56. Wow. Take a look at these numbers, you guys. Absolutely stunning. And as we all know, the clowns on the Yahoo board that are just Greg Halpern himself are all absolutely ecstatic about this. This is huge, just absolutely huge. A stunning quarter. The masterless samurai coming in on ahead. Way to go, Greg. Jeez. So one thing here, interest expenses related party. That's the interest Greg is charging Max Sound for the preferred shares that he doesn't cash in. So it was 118,000 this quarter, 119,000 last quarter, 235,000, 236,000. So he made about $500,000 in preferred shares on the interest on his preferred shares. You guys, don't worry about that. Nobody's paying that. We're going to erase that in the court. Greg's preferred shares will be dusted in the court. So, that is what it is. But this is some of the scams that he's playing to have income other than just his salary, which his salary, conveniently, soaks up every dollar that comes in, except 56 at this point. So we're excited about that. Greg's turning over a new leaf. So there's some interesting things also in here. Like you look at the fact that he's, obtained some loans and whatnot. And, these like $15,000 here, $5,000 there, $15 there, $15 there. He got a total of $65,000 in loans. Those are all from shareholders. Hey, shareholders, I know you're expecting to get shares in return when he doesn't pay you back, but the shares are locked down by the transfer agent. Greg has no capability of transferring shares. So you're not going to get your shares. And for any lawyers out there that, Greg offers shares instead of money, guess what? You're not getting either one. You're not getting the shares and you're not getting the money. So, hey, if you decide to work for Greg Halpern and you're an attorney or someone researching this, if the transfer agent has locked him out, he cannot transfer shares and you're not getting a penny. So keep that in mind. Now, of course, Greg didn't disclose the various lawsuits and the Ztrim. He didn't disclose the shareholder lawsuits. Now, he was served, 2 weeks ago. This document here is signed on, August 31st. Max Sound was already served by both lawsuits. So he had a duty to disclose those lawsuits, and he didn't. Did not disclose the Ztrim lawsuit, the Ztrim judgment made in 2018. Now, that judgment compels him to pay $8 million personally. Now, unfortunately, Ztrim will probably not see any of these monies, but the fact that Greg didn't disclose this on any of these SEC statements are each one an SEC violation. And we're going to go over what that means at the end, and you're going to like it because, we're going to aim for Greg to go to prison. And we know how. So now, how in his past SEC disclosures, he'd spend 2-3 paragraphs talking about the MAXD lawsuit and where it is, blah, 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 blah. Well, now it's tossed and nothing's happened and it's dead. He now leaves it as one sentence. Yeah, negotiations are ongoing with Max Sound or with Google. No, they're not. The lawsuit's over. You lost and you have to pay him $819,000, which, Harvey made the first payment on. So, Greg, Fantasyland's got to come to an end at some point. Now, and again, service process, all that's verifiable on the court website. You guys stop boring me with your crap. And Greg's aliases on the boards like Tenchi, that Asian symbol, Huntington Beach, Mo, UTs, Mo, Larry, Curly. They're all Greg. And he just, has a whole bunch of computers that he logs in. Anyway, so it's all Greg. And now, interesting note here, you go to the Secretary of State website in California, Secretary of State, Greg has failed to file a statement of information for the past 2 years. It was due back in February of 2020. You're supposed to file a statement of information every year. Now, the reason why he doesn't is because the bylaws of MAXD compel him to have more than one person in the company. Well, there's only one person that makes up the company. That was demonstrated, of course, during his bankruptcy when Google was able to pierce the veil and hold him personally liable, pierce the corporate veil of MAXD to hold him personally liable for the attorney fees award that they got from him because he's an idiot, and hold him, put it in his bankruptcy proceedings. Of course, that screwed up everything for Greg. Statement of informations, you don't file a statement of information. That's another SEC violation. This is about keeping up the corporate, what you're supposed to do. Now, one of the most awful things in this disastrous SEC filing is the fact that he mentions deals that are dead or that he admitted were dead in prior SEC filings. So he talks about the Hendemoto deal. Well, his past SEC filing, he admitted that was dead. And the guy was not a con artist, but the guy didn't own what he said he owned. But here it is, listed again, because Greg didn't bother checking through the cut and paste garbage that he puts back in. And here, we'll prove it. So he has a statement here of the going concern because, MAXD doesn't have any money and he doesn't make any money. And every deal he talks about are just jokes. They're not real. Okay, guys, in the MAXD secret sauce portion here, this is what it says. He's talking about deals that are going to be happening in late summer and, early fall of 2021. Right there. He didn't even bother to change the date because he's too lazy or too drugged up to actually see that he's not supposed to be filing this crap. But he does it anyway because this is what he does. And so anyway, how are we going to hold him criminally liable for this stuff? Well, 18 USC 1001. Let's read it. Except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any matter within jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States, knowingly and willfully, and what's under jurisdiction of the executive, judicial, or legislative branch? The SEC. So these are sworn statements that he's making to the SEC. Falsifies, conceals, or covers up by trick, scheme, or device of material fact. He does this all day long, of course. Makes a material, false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation. He does that all day long. Makes or uses any false writing or document, SEC filings, knowing that the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry. Gee, we picked out how many in just this filing? Anyway, shall be, that's not maybe, it's shall be, which means they have to, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years if the offense involves international domestic terrorism, imprisoned not of more than 8 years or both.